Close your eyes for a moment and picture a dolphin. What comes to mind is almost certainly the same image every one of us carries. A sleek gray body bursting from a turquoise wave, a curved mouth that looks like it's smiling, a creature that seems to lock eyes with you through the glass of an aquarium as if it wants to say something. The animal on the cereal box, the mascot on the swim team logo, the star of every childhood movie where a boy in trouble is rescued by a friend from the sea. We grew up believing dolphins are the ocean's kindest citizens, playful, affectionate, almost human in the warmth they seem to offer strangers. But that image is not a discovery, it is a product. It was manufactured, marketed, and repeated so many times that we stopped questioning it. The real dolphin, the one that exists outside our imagination, is something else entirely. It hunts in groups. It kills members of other species for reasons that have nothing to do with hunger. It has sent grown men to emergency rooms with fractured ribs and collapsed lungs. And in at least one documented case, it has killed a human being. The truth about dolphins is not that they are dangerous. It is that they are far more intelligent, far more calculating, and far more capable of harm than we were ever willing to admit. To understand what a dolphin really is, you have to understand what lives behind its eyes. Scientists measure brain power using something called the encephalization quotient. Essentially, how large an animal's brain is compared to what you'd expect for its body size. Humans score around 7. Chimpanzees, our closest relatives, score about 2.5. The bottlenose dolphin scores just over 4. But raw size is only half the story. When neurobiologists examine the dolphin brain, they find a cerebral cortex, the region that governs reasoning, memory, and social awareness, folded so densely that in certain measurements it exceeds our own. The behaviors that follow from that architecture are genuinely astonishing. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors, a test only a handful of species on Earth can pass. They understand the difference between grammatical instructions, distinguishing whether you ask them to bring a ball to a hoop or a hoop to a ball. They give each other names, using unique signature whistles that function almost like identity tags, and they remember those names decades later. They form political alliances, not simple friendships, but shifting coalitions where groups of males cooperate with other groups of males against still more groups. Researchers who study this describe the social web as more elaborate than anything found in chimpanzees. This is not the mind of a friendly pet. This is a separate lineage of intelligence, one that has been evolving in the sea for tens of millions of years, on a completely different track from our own. And intelligence, we forget, is not the same thing as kindness. In the early 1990s, along the coast of Wales, bodies began appearing on the sand. Harbor porpoises, small harmless cousins of the dolphin, were washing ashore with injuries that stunned marine biologists. Broken ribs, ruptured organs, deep bite marks, damage so severe that pathologists concluded these animals had been beaten to death. The killers, it turned out, were bottlenose dolphins. Between 1991 and 2011, researchers logged 137 porpoise deaths in the region caused by dolphin attacks. The same pattern soon appeared in Scotland, California, and North Carolina. Everywhere the behavior showed up, it looked the same. Two dolphins would trap a porpoise between them. They would strike it with their beaks. They would toss it violently into the air over and over until it drowned or bled out internally. One field biologist witnessed a single attack that lasted 75 minutes and involved more than 100 strikes from 23 dolphins circling in the water. The porpoises were not food. Dolphins do not eat them. For years, no one could explain it. The leading theory today is chilling in its simplicity. Harbor porpoises are roughly the same size as newborn dolphin calves. The males responsible for these killings are usually young adults, the same age at which they begin competing for mates. The porpoises, in other words, appear to be practice targets. Because the same thing dolphins do to porpoises, they also do to their own kind. Bottlenose dolphins commit infanticide. This is not speculation. It has been documented, filmed, autopsied, and published in peer-reviewed journals across multiple continents. Adult males will target calves that are not their own. They ram them with their beaks. They bite them. They hold them underwater until they stop moving. And the reason is coldly strategic. A mother whose calf dies becomes ready to mate again much sooner. This is not instinct in the way we usually mean the word. It requires the animal to understand that killing the calf now leads to a mating opportunity later. It requires planning across time. In 2016, a lone male dolphin in the German Baltic Sea killed 6 harbor porpoises in 3 months. Necropsies revealed shattered ribs, torn lungs, internal bleeding. He hunted them methodically, one after another, and moved on. He didn't feed. He wasn't threatened. He simply did it. The most disturbing case of all did not happen in a remote laboratory or on a distant coastline. It happened in front of a crowd. In 1994, a lone bottlenose dolphin began visiting the beaches of São Sebastião in southern Brazil. The locals named him Tio. He was unusually comfortable around people. He swam close to bathers, followed small boats, allowed swimmers to reach out and touch him. For months, tourists exploited that trust. They grabbed his fins. They tried to climb onto his back. Some pushed sticks and objects into his blowhole. Dozens of people harassed him, treating a fully grown wild predator as if he were an exhibit at a petting zoo. By late November, Tio had already injured many of them. Then in December, 2 men waded into the surf and tried to physically hold him down. Tio broke the first man's ribs with a single strike. The second man was hit in the abdomen so hard that his internal organs ruptured. He died from his injuries hours later. That is the reality that lives beneath the postcard image. A dolphin, in shallow water, in broad daylight, killed a grown man with one blow. And what marine biologists point out about incidents like this is more unsettling still. The strike wasn't accidental. The dolphin, they say, was not lashing out in panic. It was applying force with precision. The same measured, calibrated force it uses when it rams a fish or attacks a porpoise. An adult dolphin, one Italian researcher has noted, could kill any human swimmer it wanted to. The fact that most attacks on people are non-lethal isn't luck. It's restraint. The dolphin's social world is as sophisticated as its violence. In Shark Bay, Australia, scientists have spent decades tracking one of the best-studied wild dolphin populations on Earth. What they've uncovered there is a political structure that defies belief. Adult males form small teams of 2 or 3 that stay together for years. These teams then link up with other teams. And those larger alliances compete with rival alliances for control of females. It is a web of loyalty and betrayal maintained across generations by animals who remember every partner, every rival, and every debt. The alliances synchronize their movements. They synchronize their calls. They make coordinated decisions about when to advance and when to fall back. And when they do target a female, the outcome is grim. She is separated from her pod, surrounded and herded, sometimes for days, through aggressive positioning that gives her no route of escape. The behavior has a clinical name in the literature: coercive mating. In plain language, it is something much darker. The primatologist Franz de Waal built his career showing how chimpanzee societies run on political scheming. What researchers are finding in dolphin populations suggests that a parallel form of politics evolved in the sea, arriving at similar dark places from a completely separate origin. There are around 600,000 bottlenose dolphins alive today, spread across every warm and temperate ocean on the planet. They live in a 3-dimensional world we cannot enter without machines. They speak in frequencies our ears cannot hear. They see in the dark by sending out sound and reading the echoes, a sense so precise it can detect a fish buried under sand, so powerful it can stun prey with a focused burst of noise. We have studied them for over half a century. We are still at the beginning. What we do know is that the animal on the birthday cake does not exist. The real dolphin is an apex predator, with a mind that plans, remembers, forms alliances, and adjusts its behavior across time. Its cooperation is real. Its intelligence is real, and its capacity for violence rests on exactly the same cognitive foundation as its capacity for kindness. The dolphin is not evil. It is not cruel. It is simply what tens of millions of years of ocean life have shaped it into. A creature governed by pressures we barely understand, in an environment we can barely visit. We took that animal, we put it in a concrete pool, we taught it to leap for fish. We printed its face on lunchboxes. We convinced ourselves we knew what we were looking at. We were wrong. The ocean is deeper than that assumption, and so is the animal inside it.